Longtime ASEE member Maura Borrego of UT Austin recently headed up a journals task force for the Society. She's in the studio with us right now to talk about that. Hi Maura, thanks for joining us today.
It's good to see you, good to see everybody out there.
You were recently asked to head up a journals task force. Can you tell us what that's about and a little bit about ASEE's journals?
Yeah, this was one of the things that we thought that we had a really good handle on going into the task force and learned quite a bit more as we were going through our work. So I think when everybody or a lot of members think about ASEE journals, they think about Journal of Engineering Education and Advances in Engineering Education, which are the two society level journals, but there are lots of divisions in ASEE, and some of them have been publishing their own journals for a very long time. So part of the work of the task force was to think about what are the possibilities for bringing them together and coordinating some of the activities in ways that would make it easier for the editors to run the journal and for the members to be publishing their work in those journals.
What are some of the challenges journals are facing right now?
There's actually a larger group of STEM education journal editors that do get together. I know they're in regular email contact with each other, and when it makes sense at some conferences, they have time to meet and greet each other and talk about some of the shared issues that they have in editing these types of journals. But we found instead there's a need for thinking about how it's getting increasingly complex to just get a journal out the door. So even after you've accepted the articles for publication, how do you get them copy edited and typeset in the journal's format, get the proofs back to the authors, get those corrected, and then think about getting things posted online as well as in print for depending on the format of the journal. We're finding that more and more editors are getting bogged down in chasing down those steps of the process, and that costs for those parts of the process are increasing. And so something that I think ASEE could really help with is coordinating that. And for example, if you have a number of journals that are trying to negotiate with one supplier of those services, then we have a little bit more leverage to negotiate a good deal.
Do you think the number and types of journals that ASEE has right now is appropriate?
One of the charges of the standing committee going forward, I think, is going to think of a process for evaluating whether we need more journals, whether ASEE should start a new journal and how they would make decisions about what that journal would look like and how it would be run and the topics. And I think the writing may be on the wall that we need this. If you look at things like the ratio of ASEE members to the number of journals that we have, ASEE's ratio is particularly high compared to lots of other professional societies that we looked at. And there are new journals being created in the engineering education space. It's just that ASEE is not necessarily the publisher. And I think as the premier engineering education professional society, certainly in the United States, we'd like to be at the forefront of that.
Can you tell me about the task force recommendations?
Well, I think, our main recommendation was, and this comes from benchmarking some other organizations, is that in addition to the journal editors and the ASEE staff who have a wide variety of responsibilities, we also need another layer of volunteer members who are just working to coordinate journal processes. So helping to coordinate across journals and convening the journal editors and looking at the contracts and thinking about how processes could be streamlined a little bit better. So that's our main recommendation, is to start with a standing committee going forward and then think about how that could be integrated maybe even into a board position, because something else that we're hearing is that the board members would like to just know more about what's going on with the journals and decisions that are being made about the journals.
Thanks so much for joining us, Maura, and I look forward to seeing you in person next year.